Welcome to Seeing Dead People, the mystery storytelling podcast with a clairvoyant twist. We end every episode with Darcy answering a question from a listener about her psychic process. Can I ask you a listener's question?
Yes, you can.
Okay. Well, in one of our previous discussions, you mentioned being wary of meeting people because you don't know who's attached to them on the other side. That kind of went into my head and rattled around a little bit and rocked me a bit. And I looked at it again today and I thought, I'm going to ask it this time. It's such a weird concept for me. So I'm going to ask you, what do you mean by that?
Okay. Well, sometimes we can pick up other spirits along the way. We don't always have just our own family and friends attached to us. And we can pick up someone who's had a violent personality. And you ever seen someone who's nice, calm, and collective, and all of a sudden they change and there's no reason? Okay. Like they get to a rage, just like this young man.
Okay.
So you can pick up other entities. So when I meet people, also the fact that I don't know who wants to talk to them as well. So, okay. How to describe it? Is your dad passed?
Yes.
Okay. It's like your dad who's standing in the background there. I never know if I'm supposed to bring him up or not, but he's been there the entire show going, okay, so give me some evidence, he says, and all the way through the show. So sometimes even when in life, people say, prove it. Even sometimes spirit says, prove it.
Okay.
And
so go ahead.
Like that.
So while you're having conversation with me in this exact instance, you're saying my father is behind me.
Yeah, on the other side.
Okay, participating to some extent in the conversation.
Yes.
And he's speaking to you.
He's trying to.
There's some sort with you.
Yeah, he's trying to, but I'm trying to ignore him.
Right. So, okay. Well, that's astonishing. Number one. Number two, then, okay, that must be very challenging for you. You're having a conversation with me. How do you ignore him?
I just it's like a light switch and I go, okay, you're off for right now, but I really needed to bring him forward because he really needs you to know that he's around you. And that I keep seeing, I don't know if I should say like a chimney around your dad. Okay. So I don't know if that meant he was a smoker.
He smoked a pipe.
Okay. So that's a chimney.
Yep, that's a chimney. That's very good. That's really, wow. Well, say hi to my dad for me.
Well, you can. He's already heard you.
Okay. Hi, Dad. Loved you. Love you. Big time. Haven't seen him in a long time, sadly. Well, then let's get back to you then. So just going through life then, when you're walking into any meeting, into any shop, into any restaurant, and anybody's house, are you then having to put that white shell around you idea?
Yes. White shell, light switch off, just so I can get through it.
Wow, that must be so taxing.
It used to be really taxing when I was younger and didn't realize that's what it took. Now, depending on the person, depending on how animate they are about, hey, I need to talk to you, tell you something. Most of the time I turned them off, hence how I got hurt, because I turned them off.
Right.
And because I didn't want to talk to them, they gave me a message and I went, yeah, I'll deal with it later. And then because I wasn't listening, I got hurt.
Okay, you hadn't told me this. So you're saying, I know you have an injured foot.
Yep.
You're saying you were forewarned by spirit that you were going to do something to yourself.
Well, no, they were giving me a message to do something. And then I said, yeah, I'll do it later. And because they knew I wasn't going to listen to them, they took matters in their own hand.
You're saying the little devils injured you.
Not the first time, won't be the last.
My God, that's not fair. And the state.
And the fact is that I'm not I'm an excellent medium for everyone else, but for myself, it's I'll deal with it later.
Typical, it's like the cobbler and the shoes for the kids, right?
Yes.
Well, so okay, here you are walking into a person's house. Now, let's say you're going to a party. There's 30 people in the house.
If it's too bad, I will turn around and go home.
Okay, one time you said to me there was a house you wouldn't go into in England.
Yeah.
Because you felt the presence idea, the entity. So is that you feel you can't counteract them and therefore you're at risk, or it's just too much effort to do so, or what?
The first one, I feel like I'm not in that mind frame that I can work or counteract them, as you say. Therefore, my retreat is the best action.
Right. Okay, let's say you do go into a house and it's not so terrible. I'm just trying to envision you walking around and, I could see like a cartoon image of other people looking at you and talking to you, and behind them, things popping up and little faces popping up and little noise.
In my own house.
You're kidding. What are you seeing in your own house?
Well, we have extra cats and dogs running around our house. We have before we came into this apartment, there was a dead gentleman here who seemed to think he owned the place. It took a while to convince him it was time to leave. And then there's been a few deaths here, like older folks passing, and they pass through like, okay, there's the window, keep going.
So do you think like, when you walk out your door, not even out that because you're in your own apartment, but when you walk out your door, do you put the eggshell on and?
Oh yeah, before I go out the door, light switch off and eggshell on.
And that is enough to protect you?
Most of the time, yes.
Most of the time. And do you get a sort of a spidey sense when it's getting to be too much?
Yes. And then I'll stop, and I don't care where I am. If I have to pull over to the side of the road, I will stop and do the white light, the protection, all of it, and then move on. I mean, what was it, 2 weeks ago? I think I told you we were going to the physio, and it was really weird because I just finished saying to my daughter, like, I hadn't been rear-ended, but at this one turn, the guy behind me stopped too sudden, and I got hit with his the siding that was on the roof of his car that he hadn't tied down properly. And I
really?
said it was like being rear-ended. Up the road, we got rear-ended.
That's really unlucky.
Oh no, that was just funny. The guy behind us got more damage, like the guy who rear-ended us had more damage.
Yeah, well,
The next day I saged the car.
you sage the car?
Yes.
Okay. And when you do saging, do you notice in your own mind there's a change in what the aura or the energy?
Yes, absolutely. The feel and everything.
Oh, really? Oh, cool. Wow, you probably should get some sage spray and just, have it punching out on front of your face as you walk down the street.
Yeah, I'm good.
Wow, well, that's fascinating. And I can't imagine having to deal with that all the time. Little goblins almost popping up around people like my dad and other people coming up to you, causing you, to actually be stressed and to actually work to keep away from them and to not take on their whatever energies.
But sometimes, you have to, so I deal with it and I move on. Now, I'll give you a great example of how to see what that feels like.
Okay.
Okay, you get into an elevator, there's already 6 people in there, and instead of turning around and putting them behind you, stand there and face them. Watch how people squirm.
Oh, yeah, that would be terribly uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So that's sort of a general idea of what it's like. It's like standing there watching all this energy.
Wow. Do you see multiple ones sometimes?
Oh, yeah.
And are we talking colors? Are we talking
sometimes
talking faces? What are we talking?
Sometimes it's the face, the person. It could be walking through and smelling lilacs, okay, or tobacco or something like that. And it's like, oh wow. There was a place in, I think it's New Brunswick. I wish I could remember the area. But as I was driving through it, I was on my own. And as I was driving through it, the hair on my arms, the back of my neck stood up. And I didn't care if I had gotten a flat tire. I was driving on that flat tire. There's no way I was stopping there.
Was it like just a quiet country road, or were you in a town? what? A
No,
quiet country.
Quiet Country Road. It was beautiful to look at, but the energy there was so oppressive and so terrifying. So obviously, probably a massacre or something happened there. There was no way I was stopping.
Wow, that could really, cause you problems when you're driving.
No, I'm okay because they're on the outside of the car.
Ah, okay. Yeah, you wouldn't want them on the inside.
No.
Would you roll up your windows?
My windows were up,
Okay, but if you'd gone through there and they weren't rolled up, would you have rolled them up?
probably.
As fast as you could, probably. Wow. Well, when you're seeing my dad, what are you seeing when you see my dad?
I just see, like, you sort of look a little like your dad. I can see the semblance to your mom too. But he's like, I'm 5'10". Okay, so he's gonna be pretty close to my height, maybe a little shorter or taller. And the chimney.
When you say the chimney, you're literally seeing a chimney and
Well,
a person standing beside it, or a chimney in front of him? What?
no, it was like the smoke that comes out of a chimney.
Okay, you're seeing around him.
Yeah,
But are you seeing an entire person?
no, I'm just getting an image of them. Okay, but the chimney is, the round part where the smoke comes out. That's all I see is that round part and the smoke. And I should have guessed that was a pipe.
Absolutely. He always had a pipe. Always. In fact, I still have one of his pipes. Absolutely. Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Well,
I don't
thank you.
suppose it's a white one with a picture on it by any chance, is it?
I'd have to look because we had a few of them and we all distributed them throughout the family. And I have to admit, I haven't looked at it in a while, but I just know it's there, and it's always good to know it's there. And you can smell the smoke still, or the tobacco still.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that smell. Well, thank you for that. That's very nice. I appreciate that. What a good show. Thanks.
Oh, well, you're welcome. I've enjoyed it.
Okay, good. Well, we'll look forward to talking to you in another month.
Okay, so don't go nowhere yet.
This has been a presentation of Radio Sydney.